looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Barry and Mack Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sports forms coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And no D-Mac here this evening, just because this video is quick, wanted something up. I will schedule something with D-Mac, and we are going to get his initial thoughts on the Nick Anderson situation, on his perspective from just being a player. But we are going to dive in to the situation regarding Nick Anderson that Gabe Eichert and his show, The Oklahoma Breakdown, they did a wonderful job of talking about what his perspective was on the situation. And what I am going to do is not necessarily defend, but try to maybe parse-meal some of the missed things within this discussion and what my perspective should be. First, if you guys aren't a member of OU Insider, go over to ouinsider.com. Grab yourself a membership. I promise it's worth it. I've already discussed this a little bit over there, nothing at length with context, right? Gabe added a lot of context to the discussion. And if you guys want to comment, throw in some questions, thoughts, I do have a little bit of time. I'll try to get to that. For those who don't know, I am a sports performance coach. I also have physical therapists who work out of my gym. We do the whole kit and caboodle at 101st and Sheridan. Here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'm experienced with this. I've worked with guys to get their speed better, to improve and enhance their ability as an athlete, right? So I think it is very, very important to give Nick his fair due, as well as give the strength staff and the medical staff their fair due. So the first thing I will say is, and guys, love the questions, already seeing them pop up in the chat. The first thing I will say is transitioning from high school to college is incredibly hard. It is very, very, very hard on the body. It is a new kind of training that not everybody is adapted to, well equipped to handle. And it is not uncommon for this to result in soft tissue injuries, for this to hamper guys and their ability to be able to perform when fall camp comes around. And that this being something that is it's a little bit of a nightmare scenario for a freshman to get hurt, to have those issues, but typically not a lot is expected of them. So we're going to put that to bed. The first issue that I would like to highlight, and this is not in my lane, I'm not a doctor, this is not medical, but the first thing that was a little bit alarming to me was the MRI not being given or provided to Nick for his injury, right? For the staff, the doctors, the rehab specialists to say that the MRI was not necessary. I think, and I've said this over there on the OU Insider board, what OU needs to do, excuse me, at this point is to have the entire upper administration reconvene to basically present to the parents, to the players, to the future players, basically a memo or some type of basically PR situation, but essentially say, us as an administration are going to go back now, right? Get a third-party organization to do it. We are going to do a full and complete thorough investigation of what is going on with our medical, rehab, and strength team, and find out where the holes are, where the issues are, and if there are issues that we need to address, let's get to addressing them. And I think that has to happen right now. That has to happen tomorrow, because this is a now situation that will affect the portal. This will affect incoming recruits. That's a big issue. And to me, that probably is the issue that Gabe kind of didn't breeze by. They got to the strength stuff pretty quick, which to me isn't a lesser deal, but not having an MRI ordered when you are supposed to be so whenever you work with athletes, when you coach, when you are providing tutelage, your goal is to be athlete first, right? I have this perspective as a coach. Anybody who works in my gym and around me knows that that is the perspective that I want everybody to have. We are there for the people who we are providing the service to, whether you are an athlete or you're an 80-year-old woman who just wants her hips to work better, right? We are there for you. You are our number one priority. Whatever it is you need, whatever resource you need, whatever information, whatever exercises, wherever we need to recommend that you go to, right? Maybe you're someone and somebody on the team thinks like orthotics might be a thing for you. Maybe we need to address this through a gait specialist. Maybe we are going to do everything in our power to ensure that you have success. And for me, that is just to not have an MRI ordered when it's a simple thing. Either is one of two things. One, it's budget, and that's crazy. That your University of Oklahoma, it should never be budget. Or two, it is ego with whoever's job it was to diagnose the situation and prescribe the right treatment. And I think it is more than likely an ego situation of whoever did not want that ordered was said, no, this is what it is. It's a quad issue, or it's just a quad pull. It's not a big deal. And they stuck to their guns. They said that, and again, I'm just kind of going by what trying to read between the lines a little bit, but trying to do my best to also be fair in this situation. But in any world, in any walk of life, in any profession, egos absolutely can get in the way. And in this situation, it feels like egos, and as the situation goes along, you can kind of see that even more. It feels like egos maybe got in the way from providing the player the best care possible, right? And let me tell you how this goes. So you are, let's say it is the team doctor, right? I'm not saying that's who it is. It could be anybody. It could have been a PT. It could have been whoever. But let's say it's a team doctor who Nick goes to them after practice and says, hey, doc, my quad is bothering me. When I did this cut or made this move, or when I jumped, I felt a strain or I felt a sharp pull. The doctor does the test, palpates, does like all of the things that you would want to do to in that moment, right, outside of X-ray, MRI, any other scans that you would find that you need in addition to. Doctor performs all the whole gamut of testing, right, and says, yeah, Nick, I think you just got it's a minor quad pull, right? And now you create a treatment plan with the athletic trainers and with the PT folks that is built around a quad pull, right? No tear, no, and I'm not saying that in this situation, don't know the full specifics of everything, but just very hypothetical. That doctor creates a treatment plan, gets Nick going, and maybe Nick sees some initial success from that. But 4 or 5 weeks later down the line, he re-injures that and then goes, you know what, man, I think it might be something else. Like, I know my body, I'm an athlete, and I'll get to that in just a second. That same doctor may go, nope, you just re-aggravated it. It's the same deal. Don't worry about it. You don't need to go get an MRI. And again, not saying this is what happened, just saying this is real world how these situations go. And saying, you know what, no, you don't need it. I think you'll be okay without doing that. And Nick continues, and it never gets better. Finally, the family, Nick, all of the people around him on his team get frustrated, and they say, nope, we need to go get an MRI. And lo and behold, the MRI shows that it is more significant than what they initially thought. Because that is just a bad look all the way around. That is not being what we at my gym, at every good gym across the country, every strength and conditioning room in college sports, you are to be athlete first. And in this day and age, and this to me was the only disconnect where I thought Jerry Schmidt probably needed, to develop. Every coach has to get better over time because athletes change, young men and women change. The world is a different place than it was 25 years ago, when you were putting guys back on the field after a concussion, right? The world's a different place. Athletes in 2024 and soon to be 2025 know their bodies. They have done all the research. They know the drills that will get them better. There's a strong chance that they have a good idea of what the rehab's going to look like. Athletes in 2025 are incredibly smart. And when they tell you, coach, doc, I don't think that I'm getting better. My quad still feels funky. My hammy still feels funky. That is an issue. That is a problem where you as the coach have to listen. You as the doctor, you have to listen. You have to remove your ego from the situation and just say, what do you feel? What do you think about what you're feeling in your body? What does it hurt more when you do this? Does it hurt more when you do this? Right? What is being impacted? And to me, this is something that impacts recruiting and portal more than anything else, because this is describing a situation that is not necessarily athlete first. And if you are not athlete first, they're going to treat you as school second or third or fourth, right? They're going to pick LSU, who's got Nussmeier on the field in 2 series. So this is a major problem. The next piece is the trust piece. So I will say this, and guys, for just hopping on, just doing a quick discussion of Nick Anderson. Just wanted to react from a sports performance sort of rehab perspective on what the news was that Gabe provided. So just doing a quick video. We're going to fully open this up and talk about this on the Barry and Mack show with D-Mac and get the player perspective, kind of inside the program, what he's thinking went on. So that is coming. But right now, strictly talking sports performance, what may need to change, what the issues were with Nick. And just remind everybody, go over to OU Insider, grab yourself a membership while you're at it. We've already discussed a lot of this over there. Moving on to the issue with him seeking outside help. That happens all the time. I, in my facility, are sometimes the outside help. We work with athletes. I'm working with guys right now who were in season working with me. They were doing their strength and conditioning work at their school, and then they would come to my facility, and I won't disclose names or whatever, but they were doing their work in addition to what they were doing at the school. Not uncommon. Maybe they weren't driving as far as he was driving from Norman to Edmond, but not a big deal to me. Him going to see an outside physical therapist, as Gabe said, it's not crazy, right? Especially if he had trust in that physical therapist. That is that's not a problem to me. Where the problem does arise is Nick said, and this again, it's anecdotal, but it's Nick's body. And if you are athlete first, you take this perspective. Nick told the staff and told the coaches he was feeling better and ready to go, and he had been following the protocol with his physical therapist to do that. I've worked guys into situations where they've had hammy issues, quad issues, slow feet, toe stuff, shoulder stuff. They've lost some speed on their throw, whatever it is, on throwing. There's a lot of different things, and we will work guys through and get them improved. So again, not crazy that he's working with an outside PT, but what is crazy is for the staff. Now, this is where the strength, sports performance, all of this stuff. Just saw Damien's hop on. Damien, let me send you this link real quick, and we'll get on and do a little deal. Just jumped on to hit a quick live to discuss this issue. But if you can hop on, hit the comments, and we'll get you on real quick. The issue with Damien's driving, so there we go. The issue with Nick telling the staff that he was feeling better, but not, but he's been going to an outside source. The staff needs to listen to that. Period. Right? If your prime time starting wide receiver says this stuff that I'm doing over here feels really good and my body feels better than ever, I'm ready to play, I'm ready to go get it done. What you do as a staff is you ask questions, you get that player to give you answers, you then take this information that this player has given you and you leverage it in the right way and fit those wants, those desires of that athlete into your program, right? You don't hear what that athlete says, totally tune it out and say, you know what, it's my effing way or the highway. This is how we're going to do it. In 2024, you know what that athlete does? They hit the portal. Period. It is very important with athletes now that they be heard. It is absolutely vital. And if you don't hear them, they will just go somewhere else and they will find a coach that does hear them. Whenever you talk to athletes, I'm sure Damien would voice this. Some of the best coaches in their mind, when they look back on their career as an athlete, were the coaches that listened, were the coaches that said, tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what's going on. Tell me about school. Tell me about, this girl. Tell me about this or that. The coaches and trainers and strength coaches that listen and that take in the information you say and really listen in a meaningful way, those are the coaches that have the biggest impact. But to not take Nick Anderson's input for what made him feel better and then apply it and spread that out through your program, to me, that is just an error. That is a total flub by OU and the sports performance department, right? It's not that they don't know what they're doing. It's not that. They know what they're doing. But there could have been things within the workout where if they were listening to Nick that might have bothered him, that might have re-aggravated things, right? If you take a guy who has, tight hamstrings already, or a guy who has, he can't fold his leg back, he can't go into full knee flexion, right, with his heel on his butt, that if you have a guy like that, you might have to adjust stuff, right? Especially if that guy is a killer player, right? You want to do everything you can to ensure that he is ready and able to be on the field. And I think the OU stuff, what Nick was saying, and not taking in his input on what the training should look like. And then the third piece is the training itself. I've said this all along, injuries spread throughout a team, if it's an injury-riddled year, sometimes it's just bad luck. However, for me, when you look across the team, and it is primarily one single individual position group that is suffering the bulk of the injury, that's a massive, massive red flag. Because here's what this looks like on the inside. these sports performance coaches and trainers, they have a lot of data. And one of the things they have is how many steps a guy is taking, what a guy's heart is doing within the workouts, right? You're monitoring heart rate, you're monitoring, how fast they're moving, what their acceleration is on certain, every single thing you could monitor on an athlete is getting monitored. And one of those is just total work output. How many steps and how much full speed effort did you exude in the session, right? And I'll touch O-line too in a second, guys. But how much work did you produce in a given practice, in a given workout session, whatever the case may be? And receivers, they run a lot, they move a lot, they jump a lot, they cut a lot. And when you have a bunch of injuries happen to one group, it would lead me to say, and this is coming from a guy who is on the sports performance side of this, it would lead me to say there is something amiss through the general physical preparedness, right? Whenever we create a program, whenever we get a guy ready for the work, there is actually a process, and this is a little bit inside training. Whenever you block out a plan and you're building your mesocycles and you're building your structure of the workout, right? You're planning this for a full year. One of the phases that you'll do is called GPP, General Physical Preparedness. And with that, you would say we need to allow athletes in this window a chance to recover from the end of a season or from the end of a tough summer or from the end of a whatever. We need to allow athletes to recover. We now need to slowly adapt their bodies. And usually that is through lightweight, lots of volume, movement that is more for mobility, for flexibility, more therapeutic movement. Let's get the athlete right and let's really spend some time and let them marinate in getting better. Let them marinate in healing up the injuries. And then towards the end of that, you do a little hypertrophy work, you do some stuff to build some muscle, like kind of bodybuilding-esque things. And then now you're getting close to being geared up for the performance side. When you see a group get so just riddled with injury, to me, that says something was amiss. The exercise selection, the volume of work, the way that they're structuring the programming just was not optimal for producing few injuries, right? And as it relates to offensive line, I think it's probably a little bit of the same, right? Everything is about how you dose it and how you recover from it. And if you're not doing that in an optimal way, you're going to have injuries. So, final thoughts on the Nick Anderson situation, period. It is unfortunate. If you made me pick, I would say the mistrust is probably so deep with him. And if an athlete, too, strength training and workouts are where they have fun. That is where they go to, try and get better. It is a joy for a lot of guys to do that. I know Schmitty is doing some wild stuff and maybe things need to be reassessed, but that should be a good time. So when you're hearing that guys aren't enjoying that, I would probably err on the side of saying he's not coming back. And this is a prediction, just an opinion. This is not inside knowledge. I would say very unlikely that he returns just because of the mistrust being run so deep. I think that it's just going to be very problematic. But if I were Oklahoma, and as they have discussed, creating a more, I see in the comments, a more NFL-like performance and rehab setting, there are people you can reach out to and talk to. There's tons of people, including myself, in the Tulsa area, Oklahoma City area. There's people just in the industry who know how to approach this stuff. And it's not just the work. It is how you communicate with the athlete and who is put first. Is it the coach? Is it the ego of the doctor? Is it the ego of the rehab specialist? Is it the ego of the strength coach? Or is it the players who are on the field on Saturday. Those are the guys that are important. Those are the guys that you listen to first. You take what they're saying in an honorable, notable way, and you leverage that information for their success. It doesn't mean they're always right, but you take it, you use it, you take it, listen, use it, and then you're also giving them ownership of their success. If they fail through their method or their ways, then so be it. Let them own it, right? It's not the idea of my way or the highway in 2024 with athletes and how they know their body and the leverage they have in the portal. That is gone. That is out the door. You don't have it. You got to listen. And that's just in any situation, but particularly in this, you have to listen and you have to take into account what the athlete is saying. So I won't keep this video long. Already been here almost 30 minutes. Guys, thank you for hopping on. Hopefully you guys got something from this, enjoyed this. Go over to OU Insider, ouinsider.com. Grab yourself a membership. Follow myself on X at BWise Fitness, at letter BWISE Fitness down there on the screen. And Damien, who's also on the screen, go check him out at D_Mack13. And want to thank everybody for hopping on. Hopefully OU can address this and fix this and move forward. Tough situation, but just wanted to give my thoughts. Sooner Nation, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you soon.